Danny, talk about your team.
Yeah, your turn.
The
Danny.
Dallas Mavericks, owned by Mark Cuban. It's
That's
definitely
not
his
his
real
name.
name. Didn't just make it up.
Mark Aguirre's Mavericks legend, but he's not.
I was waiting for one of you guys to catch it. I was waiting for
So
somebody
you
to
know
catch
about Mark Aguirre, but not Kevin Johnson?
Mark Aguirre. Come on now, Mark Aguirre's him.
How don't you know about Kevin Johnson, but you know about Mark Aguirre? Well, Mark
I
Aguirre
don't
went
know.
deeper.
I don't know. I honestly don't have an excuse for that.
Yeah,
But he didn't
no
know.
excuse.
He knew about Kevin Johnson and not Mark Aguirre because I saw him looking. Yeah, I saw him looking at his computer to look up. So he doesn't know Mark Aguirre.
I was
But-
surprised you knew that, bro.
But anyway,
Okay.
let's talk about the Mavs.
Excuse me.
I seen this the other day. I can't remember where I saw it, but did you guys ever watch that movie Bedazzled? By chance?
Nah.
So basically, the whole point of Bedazzled, right, is this guy gets a genie or some shit, right, and she grants him with any wish that he wants, right, like all the time. So he's like, oh, I want to be a rock star. But every time that she gives him a wish, she like trolls him. She like goofs him up. So he becomes a rock star and he gets bitches, but then he has a micro penis, right? so I know people are saying like, what am I cooking, right? The thing is,
What are you cooking?
we all asked Mark Cuban. We said, please, Mark Cuban, please get Lucas some help, please. Got Lucas some help, and it came at the cost of whatever other depth they even had, like, which was very small. They had to get rid of every depth piece they had to get Kyrie Irving, and they missed the play-in tournament. So he got him help theoretically. He got him a top 15 basketball player in the world, but at what cost? The Mavs got bedazzled.
That was a good analogy.
Yeah,
Took
I
a
know everybody
while
was
to
saying
get
what
us
was I
there.
cooking, but I cooked a little.
Took a while.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Owen said it in the chat.
I don't know what the fuck you were cooking at the beginning, but yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good analogy, Danny.
What's the
job.
deal with the micro weed, bro?
You know what I find
Good job,
even
man.
more ironic of it all? How it all could have been avoided if they made one decision during the regular season. Anybody know what I'm referencing?
Oh God.
Trade
Hey,
Luka to the
Jay-
Lakers.
No. Paying Jalen Brunson $57 million for 4 years. Does somebody want to do the math for me and figure out how much that is per year? I think if I'm going off the top of my dome, it's going to be about like 11 or no, 12 point something. No,
You said
Bro,
57 in 4
divided by
years?
4.
How the hell is that
57 divided by
12?
4. It'll be like 12.
Oh, man, you do not know math because that
Oh, no,
equals
it's like 14.
around 14
It's
mil.
14. Yeah.
14. My bad. But you're not willing to pay Jalen Brunson 14 mil during the regular season, which we all know that Jalen Brunson blew up after the playoffs. But even back then, I think we knew Jalen Brunson was worth that kind of money. I mean, just the way that once he was inserted into that starting lineup.
You said he blew up after the playoffs, didn't he have like
Blew up
that
in the
emergence?
playoffs.
Yeah.
But I meant that's what I meant.
Okay, I was like, Luka was gone and he was hooping. He dropped like 40.
Yeah, he dropped 40 against the Jazz, and then they win the conference finals. But what I'm saying is, like, they could have paid him that money. That Luka and him had good chemistry. They worked well together, and instead they didn't want to pay him. And then they also didn't want to match him this summer. And it all could have been avoided by like just paying your players right away. And this is one thing I'm actually curious to see now, is if this is going to start a new trend of locking up your players, even if it means we're trading him. Like, we're not going to let him go. We'll trade him, but we have to get something back. Because we saw, as Danny mentioned, the Mavericks lost a lot of depth without him. They had Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith as their 2 and 3 best players because they lost Jalen Brunson. And then they had to make a desperate move, and now you're seeing the downfalls. So I'm interested to see if it means teams are going to re-sign their players.
Right, and speaking on that, them not paying Jalen Brunson, the owner Mark Cuban, he has a history of not paying key guys on the Mavs roster. So going all the way back to the early 2000s, Steve Nash was on the Mavericks, right? Him and Dirk, they were consistently a 50-win team, and then Steve Nash wanted a new contract extension. But Cuban was like, nah, man, we don't want to pay you. And so what happened? He went to Phoenix. And Phoenix, of course, they won a bunch of games for the rest of the decade. And later on, Tyson Chandler, one of the best defensive bigs in the league, right, was a big part of the Mavs winning that championship back in 2011, right? And so that was his contract year 2 as well. He wanted to stay in Dallas, Tyson Chandler. And so what does Mark Cuban do? He lets him walk. And so Chandler goes to the Knicks. The Knicks become one of the best teams in the East. And then Chandler wins Depoy that season. And
Yeah,
so
but let Mark Cuban cook though. 7 years after Steve Nash was traded to
7 years.
Suns,
What?
7 years after they won a championship. Let Cuban cook.
Let him cook. Let him cook. Shout out Mark Cuban. For that reason, I'm out.
Hey, I'm just saying he has a history of being cheap. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
How do rich people stay rich?
He does the same shit on Shark Tank. That's what I was saying. You know, for that reason, I'm out. That's all he says, bro. The whole fucking show. This man never invests in anything.
Yeah, you remember that one
For
episode?
that reason, I'm out.
The one episode where you just straight up offered to buy the company.
I remember seeing that. I remember
Yeah,
seeing the reels on
He
it.
goes there, shits on their company, and then goes, for that reason, I'm out. And then just sits back like this.
Yeah, and then he'll just like occasionally throw a jab at all the other sharks.
And then he'll throw them like the most bullshit offer too. It's like, bro, what are you doing?
With the royalties and the percentages.
Yeah.
God.